Hey there, www.andrewmartinmusic.com. Another late night in a van, another informal chat. This one, I'm fascinated with the idea of the soul trap and the AI artificial overlay that could be a part of it. So I'm thinking out loud here, and one of the things that I like to do is just explore every possibility that I can imagine when it comes to investigating certain topics. And in this one, I'm going to just muse along here on the non-theistic schools like Madyamika, one of the middle way schools in Buddhism. And it's a non-theistic school, and they teach dependent origination. So a part of this idea of cosmology is that consciousness is indeed fundamental, but it's not the creator of this place. It's not a personal God that created it. It just, everything here just codependently arises and is in a dynamic state of flux of becoming and cessation. So living and dying. And it just, it's ongoing. And a part of this narrative in our age is to do with evolution. So if you kind of do the math here, you do have consciousness is fundamental, and it lives and it dies, and we do this every day. You know, our consciousness lives, and then it dies and goes to sleep and becomes dormant, and then it reawakens, and we have memory of a self. The only difference with reincarnation, if that's true, is for some reason we lose the memory of self. So our memory is wiped. And within this context, there are no gods doing it. Although I will get to a possible answer to that in a little bit. So in human beings within this cosmology, we are dealing with evolution as generally promoted by modernity. So that would be seemingly a fact of this cosmology. And the mind, when it comes to dying, is a part of this AI construct as far as I can see. Because if you look at the writings, the mind is supposed to be called, an aspect of the mind is called the manas. There's something artificial about them, and this is why Buddhism teaches that there's a possibility of transcending the mind, right? And to me, within this context, that means that it could be artificial, right? If you look at some of the mythology surrounding this, you have words like akashic, which to me sounds very, very similar to mainframe. And what's going on there seems to be some kind of memory storage technology. And that starts to sound that some aspect of this is technical, bordering, and I don't want to get into this here, but bordering, some aspect of this is bordering on something like simulation. So the other thing that I think could if any of this is true, then one of the things in this cosmology that's possible is that there could be, and this is completely speculative, but there could be in this cosmology an outside intelligence, commonly known today as alien, ET, that came here to this planet and somehow jacked into this system and has retooled it to their purposes. Now, how this could have been done, who knows? Like, if there's anything possible, anything along the lines of this being possible, then it's obviously a highly advanced technical society that we're able to do this. Now, I'm not saying this is the case with Madyamika and the Buddhist schools. I'm just looking at this from the possibility of soul trap theory and Loosh farming. So if this impersonal Buddhist school were to be the truth about life, with consciousness being fundamental, but it existing within codependent origination, and always this becoming in cessation, and that there is indeed within this model an aspect of consciousness that they say can transcend this becoming and cessation, and the experiences that we have at death are happening within the mind complex, right? Within the bardo, which to me is very similar to Akashic. Then it opens the door that somehow an advanced alien species could have jacked into that. And that's what I'm suggesting here is a possibility. Now, I'm a Christian Sethian Gnostic, so I don't subscribe to the this Madyamika school of middle way Buddhism, but I find it fascinating. It just takes something to wrap your mind around cosmologies wherein there is no God, but reincarnation still happens. It's just incredibly difficult to imagine reincarnation without a self, without an Atman. But this is what they posit. They posit there is no eternal Atman, there is no eternal self, there is only consciousness arising and ceasing. Arising and ceasing. And somehow the experiences that consciousness experienced while in this avatar gets laid into some mechanism of storage, memory storage, so that somehow in the next life it imprints itself on the newborn child, and this is known as karma in this cosmology. And this all happens without gods and goddesses. Now, the last aspect I'll touch on here is within traditional Vedic schools, and I think even within Buddhism itself, they do say that there are outside entities, quote unquote, outside entities that exist within what's called samsara. So the 14 lokas of the Vedas, and I don't think the Buddha denied this, that the entities that reside in these things, in these places, are actually real as far as the experience of mind, but ultimately unreal. So they're a part of this samsaric AI overlay of mind, right? So this is all, everything that's being posited here about the death experience and the bardos and the lokas, these are all, according to Buddhism, sort of like Twilight Zone mind states. So we could actually be dealing with and this does start to border on very close to Sethian Christian Gnostic ideas surrounding this issue. So yeah, that, I mean, I would love for reincarnation to be true and benevolent, and that could be, but there's just too many things about it that I think the people who are espousing or espousing Loosh theory and or being skeptical of the official narratives about the benevolence of this template do have some very valid points that should not be dismissed. And because in my view, as a Sethian Christian Gnostic, it seems closer to the truth than the benevolent, the completely benevolent, non-theistic ideas that consciousness is fundamental, but everything that's happening is just a part of a benevolent, codependent arising for consciousness as it interfaces with biology and brains and that type of thing through evolutionary processes. So yeah, I mean, because so much of this becomes speculative, like you can't take the scientific method to death, right? So all of this becomes, just speculative. Because materialists don't accept that consciousness is fundamental, they just call it all woo, because they just think that consciousness is being developed by the brain. But to me, that's not rational, and it's actually can be proven to be illogical. So it all comes down to what the self is, and the idea of whether there's a higher self. Now, the last thing I'll touch on here is the possibility of this same idea being talked about in Egypt with the Ka and the Ba, where the Ba is this immersed in this artificial, the soul is a part of this artificial mind construct, AI, and then the Ka is the spirit, the Purush, the Sat Chitananda, right? So I think even Egyptian spirituality does have hints of this. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on an alternative view. Like what I'm trying to do here in my thinking and my journalistic, investigations is to try and cover every base, because I don't want to just look at something from a personal bias. I want to step outside of my personal bias and go, okay, and as objectively as possible, okay, what does this school say about spirituality? What does this school say about consciousness? And does anything mesh or fit with the general idea? So that's what I'm doing here, and I'll probably get to more alternative views on this at another time. But yeah, the main problem I have with schools like non-theistic Buddhist schools is just how incredibly bad this place is if you look at it objectively. Like someone like social experimentalists put out a book called Life and Expose. So you have to give detailed rebuttals to the truth of what's in this book if you want to posit that this place has been a benevolent construct. And as a Sethian Christian Gnostic who thinks that this place came into existence through a malevolent mind, another artificial mind, then the Loosh theory, artificial intelligence theory, to me, is more coherent. It makes more sense of all the innate problems built into this system. And when viewed from that lens, it does not look benevolent. It looks like a malevolent, intentionally malevolent construct. So, yeah, I'll keep musing on any alternatives to Loosh theory to try to explain alternate possibilities to try and explain what's going on here. Okay, so Andrew Martin Music, ciao.